Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to unpack some absolutely fascinating new insights into neurodiversity. If you've ever felt like there's this invisible miscommunication gap between different types of minds, a gap you just can't seem to close, well, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to look really closely at attention deficit slash hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, and decode the hidden mechanisms driving those behaviors that honestly often puzzle us. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever wondered why you, or maybe a coworker, just can't seem to organize a simple task without making what looks like, well, careless mistakes? Or why conversations sometimes just completely miss the mark, leaving everyone feeling totally misunderstood? It's frustrating, right? This kind of interpersonal friction is incredibly common. And when it goes unresolved, it creates this lingering stress that can seriously damage relationships and workplace morale. We so often mistake these moments for carelessness or just a lack of effort. But today, we're going to reframe that entire dynamic using something called the iceberg model. Section 1. The surface, everyday actions and conversations. So looking strictly at the tip of our iceberg, let's explore those visible, everyday actions that cause immediate friction. Take conversation, for example. You might actually recognize a few of these top 5 conversational traits. First up, omitting subjects in sentences. Like someone might say, "Hey, can I use the conference room?" meaning they just want to drop a box in there, but you assume they're booking it for a whole meeting. Then there's one-sided talking and assuming shared knowledge, where the line between what they know and what you know gets super blurry. Add in interrupting, or just suddenly changing the foundational premise of a topic entirely. I absolutely love the metaphor the source material uses for this. It's like a pitcher on a baseball mound just endlessly throwing balls without ever checking if there's actually a catcher behind home plate. It can be incredibly overwhelming for the listener, for sure, but it's equally frustrating for the speaker who just feels like they're sharing their enthusiasm. And this spills right over into daily lifestyle traits too. We see unplanned impulse trips, extreme clutter, sudden impulse buying out of nowhere, chronically losing everyday items like keys, and bouts of just extreme fatigue. The source material shares a hilarious but honestly highly disruptive anecdote about that impulse trait. Imagine you're just chatting with a friend, and they casually mention this beautiful, secluded hot spring. Well, for someone with strong ADHD traits, that sudden spark of hyperfixation can literally lead them to drop everything right then and there and take a 3-hour impulse drive to this hot spring, completely tossing any schedule or time management for the day right out the window. Sounds kind of fun, but man, it can wreak absolute havoc on daily life. Section 2. The depths. Invisible brain mechanisms. To cultivate real empathy and figure out how to actually work beautifully together, we have to dive beneath the surface and uncover the neurological why behind those exact traits we just talked about. A massive piece of this puzzle? Working memory. Think of working memory as the brain's temporary workspace. It stores, processes, and deletes incoming information on the fly. When there's a deficit here, multitasking becomes a monumental hurdle. Imagine trying to take a phone message. You have to temporarily hold the caller's name, their company, and their complex message in your brain all at once, while simultaneously trying to process how to write it down. For an ADHD brain, that temporary workspace gets overloaded instantly, and the information simply vanishes. And that's exactly what leads to those seemingly careless mistakes. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the fact that shatters a massive myth. ADHD is not a complete lack of focus. Rather, it's an inability to regulate that focus. And this leads to what we call hyperfocus. This is a state of excessive concentration, where someone might operate at 120 to 150% capacity. They completely forget time, their surroundings, and literally even basic needs like eating or drinking. They are entirely locked in. But because the brain is burning so much energy, the moment that hyperfocus breaks, the person experiences a severe physical and mental crash. We also really need to talk about hyperactivity. When we hear that word, we usually picture physical restlessness, right? Fidgeting, pacing around. But there is also mental hyperactivity. This is a relentless, unstoppable chain reaction of thoughts. The source gives a perfect example. A simple thought about a high electricity bill instantly spirals into researching cheaper energy providers, which leads to thinking about saving money, which immediately jumps to planning an extravagant vacation with those savings. The brain is constantly running on a treadmill, jumping from one lily pad to the next, never actually resting. This brings us to a really powerful quote from the source material, like a domino effect, starting with one concern, leading to a relentless chain of fatigue. Because of this mental hyperactivity, the working memory struggles, and those hyperfocus crashes, individuals with ADHD experience a profound, hidden exhaustion. I mean, even if they've been sitting completely still in a chair all day, their brain has essentially been running a marathon,
Understanding this domino effect is absolutely crucial. It's the key to understanding the sheer exhaustion many neurodivergent people face every single day. Section 3, the toolkit, bridging the gap. So the crucial point is, how do we actually use this understanding to make things better? Empathy is great, but actionable strategy is what changes daily life. Let's look at some specific communication and environmental strategies to bridge this gap. First up, time management, because this brilliantly illustrates how different neurodivergent minds need completely different tools. If you're supporting someone with ASD, autism spectrum disorder, they often thrive on highly structured daily time visualization and rigid, predictable schedules. But for ADHD, that same rigid schedule might completely fail. Because of time blindness and a tendency to procrastinate, an ADHD brain requires shorter, front-loaded deadlines. You really need those intermediate check-ins to prevent the classic ADHD trap, what the source calls the summer homework trap, where you end up doing a whole month's worth of work in an absolute panic on the very last day. And what about just giving standard instructions? Well, instead of abstract advice, here is a highly tangible standard operating procedure. Step 1. Move to a quiet environment. Reduce the visual and auditory noise so their attention doesn't get hijacked. Step 2. Clarify the overall theme and goal right up front so they have a framework. Step 3. Wait for them to take notes. Don't just keep talking while they write, or their working memory will overload and they'll miss what you say. And Step 4. Have them repeat it back to you. This just guarantees the information landed correctly. It's an actionable blueprint that honestly benefits absolutely everyone, not just those with ADHD. To take it a step further, utilize frameworks. When you use the 6W3H framework, who, what, when, where, why, how, and how much, you completely remove ambiguity. And ambiguity is the mortal enemy of working memory. Avoid phrases like ASAP or just a little bit. I mean, what does ASAP even mean? Does it mean in 5 minutes or by Friday? Give a concrete time. And finally, utilize visual checklists for routine tasks. It offloads the work from the brain's fragile working memory right onto a piece of paper, preventing careless omissions and drastically lowering mental fatigue. So we've looked at the surface frustrations, we've dived deep into the hidden neurological mechanisms, and we've equipped ourselves with a really practical toolkit. By shifting our perspective from frustration to structural support, we change the entire dynamic. So I want to leave you with this. How will you change your environment tomorrow to bridge the gap between different minds? Whether it's just pausing to let someone take notes or setting a front-loaded deadline, a small shift in how we communicate can truly make a world of difference. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you can take these tools and use them to create better, more empathetic connections in your own life.